4 months after their most recent Japanese release, a 9 Cents Feel special, Twice came back with More and More on the 1st of June this year. With an impressive 8 mini-albums behind them, Korea's girl group has returned with a new summer sound and tracks composed by Korean and American producers. But even an album grossing 200,000 sales on its first day is not perfect. We will discuss the music and the relationship between sound, concept, and choreography. And remember, these are opinions and I'm not a professional. More and More has a summer concept, and despite flowers typically blooming in spring, they are a prevalent element in their props and outfits anyway, probably due to their vibrant colours and details. Twice's previous summer concepts, such as Happy Happy or Dance the Night Away, are much more cute, whereas More and More is much more mature. Compare the parallel of Dahyun, Nayeon, and Mina in the cave. In Dance the Night Away, they crouch and are easily frightened, but as they emerge from the cave in More and More, they stand tall and empowered. This comeback also pays much more attention to detail in the costumes and set pieces, but maintains the same colourfulness and associations with water as the previous summer comebacks. The title track's beginning is soft, with Nayeon and Mina's delicate voices contrasting the much louder chorus. The first formation is interesting, as it allows the two vocalists to sing centrally but separately without anyone's feet moving. These lines bending in sync with the first 3 beats of each bar is also a nice touch. The first verse builds really well, as with every new singer, a new element of the instrumental is layered on. Synthesized flutters with Mina, snare-like percussion with Chewy, and kick drum-like percussion with Momo. Sana's repetitive chant that follows is good, but perhaps not as catchy and much more monotonous than her iconic part in Likey, for example. On the other hand, the quick breaths in between words and Butt's choreography relate back to the more mature concept Twice is undertaking. Another effective tie to the music video's concept is the reaching of hands above their heads, which I believe is mime for picking an apple. A connection to the lyrics More and More are these pulling in hand movements that accept and draw in what they want more of. Like Dance the Night Away, More and More's chorus is fun and happy, however, the low synth melody is not as catchy and doesn't stray too far from the chord progression. The lines are melodically similar to the synth flutters from the first verse, but feel more scattered, like they've been pushed aside for the uninteresting synthesizer. What this title track does really well, though, is the writing for members. Everyone's lines are written perfectly for each of them, and it doesn't feel recycled or unnecessarily shared around when Jio and Sana repeat the same line, because they sing in a different way and with varied instrumentals. We'll talk more about this in Oxygen. I don't have much to say about the dance break, apart from the repeating, which I don't particularly like. However, Twice never ceases to impress with their dancing, especially Momo. Chaeyoung and Dahyun rap that you can't say no, and that they don't need your opinion, which further rams in the strong theme. Chaeyoung's last line here is also quite rhythmically interesting, somewhat rare for a Twice rap. The instrumental decorations at the start of Nayeon and Jio's lines in the first verse of Oxygen are a great addition that create more interest over the soft piano chords, as well as tying back to the similar idea in the title track. In Jio's case, the quiet synth bass line that continues as she sings paves the way for the low melody in the pre-chorus. This melody's fast triplets enhance the speed and emphasis on the 4 reallys. Not to mention the beatbox-like lead-in. The chorus is sung beautifully and is a dance track with an elegant side, which is a compelling concept. Finally, another song joins the ranks of Love Foolish and other elegant B-sides Twice has been releasing. The decorations heard in the first verse are completely embedded into the second. And the synth lines that were first separate are now combined, as well as adding new synth and vocal decorations. Compared to the first pre-chorus, this second one isn't as good. It's melodically the same, but with Mina and Sana instead of Nayeon and Jio. All members have their strengths, and to do the same thing regardless of member is against the point of having a group at all. Mina doesn't do it as well as the others, not because she is bad, but because this line is not written for her style and tone of voice. She isn't singing this because it's high, or soothing, or silky, but because someone else sang it last time. As most Twice songs are not written in a hip-hop style, Chaeyoung and Dayeon's raps can often lose potential. However, Oxygen embeds a rap, although short, into the bridge, which doesn't disrupt the flow of the song, but does give Chaeyoung a better backdrop to glow upon. In the third chorus, the calls that were alone in the first two choruses are answered. A developed and coupled resolution to a great song. Firework has the best introduction in the album, with a complex Spanish guitar melody followed by echoing piano chords. This style for the progression is also found in More and More, Oxygen and Shadow, a good musical theme that varies by tempo and chords in more than half the album. Fast, chromatic guitar plucks follow, paired perfectly with Momo's throat-heavy voice. The first few times I listened to this album, I believed that the Spanish guitar was underappreciated in this song, only appearing in the introduction, the bridge, and as a decoration at the end of each chorus. But upon listening to this closer, this unlikely instrument is scattered throughout the song. As it opens up, it becomes backed by a percussion beat common to Latin pop music. An effective pair to the guitar. This continues into the chorus, which doesn't have a dominant instrumental melody like Oxygen and More and More. This allows Jungyeon and Nayeon's powerful voices to shine. And sing lyrics that are mysterious in concept, such as "The secret of my destiny." This idea continues into the bridge where Jihyo is born like a phoenix. This segment builds brilliantly, with the background voices gradually increasing in pitch and volume over Chui's vocals. Jihyo brings the escalation to its peak, with similar technique to the background voices. Except exponentially more powerful. But you can't talk about the conclusion of the bridge without mentioning Chaeyoung's adorable "Like a supernova." The vocal choices and parts sung by the members are just amazing in this song, and it is overall just written for Twice, and still within this new concept.
Love me now, love me good. Don't need nobody else when I feel that's good. Ain't nobody around, do it like it should.
The bass line in Make Me Go is pretty cool, and it repeats without variation for the entire song except for the pre-choruses. Because of the variation of what vocalists and other elements play with it, I think this is fine. But this melody gets used even more in the verses. A poorly synthesized tenor saxophone repeats a very similar melody that has a few more semiquavers, but nothing much else. Despite the repetition, Nayeon and Jihyo's cool lines are deeply pitched and sung almost like rap, which complements the bassline and slow tempo of the song. This style continues into the chorus, with the lyrics sung monotonously in a crisp and solid tone. The promiscuous lyrics of the chorus and second pre-chorus, such as "Don't need nobody else when it feels this good," and "Your trembling body is gonna get harder and harder," fit well into the comparatively sexually mature concept of this album. The onomatopoeia in the chorus, I believe, also ties in with this concept. However, I think it sounds like a ghost, which might just be me, but it still decreases the effect. Shadow has a very similar start to the title track of this album, also having echoing synth chords with pulses on the first 3 beats. They also have effectively the same beats per minute, More and More with 107 and Shadow with 111. I think it's a good thing to have recurring themes and elements in an album to tie it together, but a B-side that's verses just sound like a variation of the title track isn't original or special. I'm not going to pretend that the chorus or the hook are particularly interesting, but the lyrics and synth harmony are still cool. But I do think a higher tempo would lend this song closer to a dance track with a delicate side, like Oxygen, which has a BPM of 130. The final pre-chorus had the potential for Jonghyun to make a very powerful moment, and she certainly has the voice to do it, but the crescendo and shrivel increasing in pitch was not reflected by the vocalists, neither Nayeon in the first line of the last chorus. At least Jiro had a good moment there, but it could have been more, especially with bass or just synths in the lower octaves. I get that Twice songs don't usually have this, and you could argue that Shadow isn't a dance track and is simply more relaxed. But that's the potential that I feel is lost. This track has an explosive start and jumps straight into the first verse. The cymbal-heavy drum kit beat is so good and refreshing to hear in a Twice song. It pretty much excuses the abysmally synthesized lower brass. It's very loud and strong, and so are the lyrics, reflecting the concept we've seen in every song so far. In the pre-chorus we have the echoing piano theme in a new way, with the title muffled in the background. The 5 hard quavers leading into the chorus, "Don't call me again, no," paired with Mina singing said title, reinforces that line. However, it gets old quickly. The first chorus is 20 seconds long, and in that time period, is repeated 8 times. Plenty of other songs are like this, but the rest of the chorus having next to no variation from the verses only emphasizes said repetition. Apart from the scream-like effect, the verses frankly have more musical ideas and are on the same level energetically as the chorus. What's the point of a pre-chorus if it builds to where it came from? Sweet Summer Day is an interesting song to discuss. It's a great song, but just doesn't fit in with the rest of the album. Each chord of the opening ascends in notes. Not to mention the happy major key signature. This bright piano and cute singing doesn't fit in with the mature concept of everything else, and neither do the lyrics. Sana's "I'm going to run like a kid" is contradictory to the new Grown Up Twice, and Jio's "Put your feet in the sand" has a strong summer feel, but not the same as the rest of More and More. Imagine how much better suited this song would be alongside Chillax and Ho in Summer Nights. With album structure and key themes not lining up out of the way, let's look at the composition and vocals. The second verse experiments with different vocalist arrangements, and I really like this call and response-esque structure with Momo. Unlike in Don't Call Me Again, this kind of variation adds to a song and makes it less repetitive. Jio and Nayeon's parts in the first 2 choruses are great, and Jio singing higher harmonies over the top really build to the track's ending. Often you don't want a chorus to be too busy, so integrating the new musical ideas later on is a good way to create variation and explore possibilities. Plus, in a joyful song like this, a bit of showing off can't hurt. Overall, More and More is a great new leap in Twice's concept catalogue through its mature and strong messages, the most striking in Make Me Go. Its expansion of their dance music into greater detail and more delicate sides is invigorating. This album explores thematic ideas such as synthesized vocals, most memorably in Oxygen, and echoing synth piano chords in Shadow. There aren't really any big issues with composition in More and More, except for the lack of variation in Don't Call Me Again, and the similarities between Shadow and More's verses. However, I do feel like there was lost opportunity vocally for Jonghyun and Daeyeon to sing and rap in this new and strong context. This was my review of Twice's More and More. Thank you for watching, and if you have any album suggestions, please leave them below.